takes a level of gratitude
Yeah.
to really not compare yourself
And
to another
appreciate
person's
where
life.
you are.
Yeah.
Hello, this is Let's Talk Podcast with Nura Abdallah. And today this is our first episode, so we have our guest, our first and only guests. Introduce yourself, please.
My name is Simran Maru. More about me.
Yes.
I'm a licensed psychologist and a general manager. So two things that kind of go together somewhat.
Yes. Today we're going to talk about just being young in general and how different we, as young people, we are. So how challenging it is, especially with social media, and how it gives us pressure with how we're supposed to dress, how we're supposed to like live our lives, how we're supposed to work, how we're supposed to stay at home. First of all,
have babies.
are we supposed to have babies? Are we supposed to get married?
Are we supposed to be feminists?
Yeah, are we supposed to be feminists? Are we supposed to accept gender roles? And yeah, and all. So do you think as a young person, how are you supposed to live your life?
I think the most important thing is to not fall for everything you see on social media, one. Number two, being a young person, I feel, has so many challenges because literally no young person is doing the same thing as anyone else.
Yes.
I have friends who are ready to have babies. I have friends who are buying houses. I have friends who are now finally getting into their first relationship, and we're all about the same age. So I think being young in this society is really about finding what suits your life best, because right now everything's about individualism more than it's about gender roles, feminism, what you're supposed to do. At 24, you need to have a job, you need to have graduated. COVID hit, so barely anyone's graduated. Everyone's having babies if they stayed indoors. So I don't think we can really compare to like what society would have normally wanted pre-COVID.
True.
Probably.
And apart from like social media, for me, it's normally I will get people I relate to. So as much as my friends who are like going out, so those are the people who they will follow. Social media is influencers, anyone who likes to go party, anyone who likes to go for vacation. I mean, who doesn't? But do you have the resources? To show
what they're doing
exactly.
On vacation.
So it's like those are the people who they are following, and they feel like they're influenced by them. But for me, and I've had this issue with my mom too. She's like, you don't go out often, you don't go to the club. Maybe you'll have to experience that after you're married. And is that really like a challenge? I don't think so.
I think also there's a pressure put on us to have experienced everything before marriage, just because then they'll say, oh no, but then you have to do this after marriage. That's not allowed. Your husband won't like it. Your kids won't like it. You're now a mother. But I also don't see why you have to experience everything that every single teenager does.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you don't go out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go out for every reason that every other, young person goes out for. I go out because I have to go out. And I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like there's so much pressure in terms of you have to have done and experienced everything by a certain age so that you don't unconventionally
or miss out
later.
Exactly, or feel like you are having a midlife crisis just because maybe you will want to go out then, and they'll be like, they didn't experience
Why
that.
are you going out and you have a baby?
Yeah, exactly.
and then you're told you have issues.
Or I have friends who have like families already. Like, she's even younger than me and she's like it. But for me, it's like, not yet. Because for me, it's what can I say? It's not like I want to experience life outwardly and beyond like everyone expects. It's just like I am not ready to take care of another person. That's a kid. Also, when you're marrying a man, it's like another whole child. So it's like two people with me included. It's just too much.
It is. Plus also having a boyfriend. I think the pressure of having a boyfriend at this age
and maintaining a relationship
is not a joke.
It's
especially
not a joke.
Because the men of this generation are not made to love beyond and unconditionally. The way men before were just told, once you fall in love, once you have a girlfriend, that's who you're going to marry. That's the girl you're going to fall in love with and give her everything. But now it's a matter of women know what more that they want from men, and so now it's so much harder to find a man who's going to fit into that category, because now we actually know what we want. You have to do 101 things to now also be good enough for a man.
Exactly. And still you have to provide something on the homestead because, well, why are you educated then?
Yeah, exactly. And if you choose not to, then you're selfish.
So where is that 50-50? It's not like
how do you win?
yeah.
I
So
don't think
being
there's a
young
way to
is
win.
for me, it's I can't compare with my mom's era, with
Yeah.
our mom's era, because for them it was definitely different. So different that right now she questions why I do so many things. She's like, why are you dating that person? Like, why? You didn't go for a date, you didn't. And I'm like, mom, it can be like 50-50. She's like, no. So there's like pressure again. It's not like pressure, I don't know, it's just too much. Do you think someone needs a plan
In
for
life.
yes, especially when you're young? Because then when you're young, it's like you live your life, try anything you want, don't mind anything that comes, don't mind failing, don't mind succeeding. Do you need a plan?
But I feel like you can have a plan for a backup. But I think when it comes to real life experiences, no plan actually goes through. Right? Like
Exactly.
you study one thing, you end up doing another. You think you're gonna spend the rest of your life with one man, you end up not spending it with that man.
Exactly.
In the middle, you're going to have something happening to you. You'll lose your job, you won't graduate, you'll realize halfway through your degree you don't want to do that anymore and you want to change your whole career path. So I think being young, the good thing with being young is we have the energy to be dynamic, but the only difficult thing with being young is everyone looks at you like you should have your life figured out.
Yes.
But I think that the trick is you just have to do the right thing at the right time. If right now what works for you is you're working, good for you, work. If right now not studying works for you, then don't study. I think having like a really rigid and solid plan kind of lets you end up being extremely limited. You end up being very limited in how
and
you're
rigid in some way.
Yeah,
Yes.
rigid, that's the word. Like you won't be open-minded when something comes your way because you're like, but if I do this, I'm gonna sway off the plan.
Yeah.
You fall in love with someone else,
You're like,
but I can't. But I can't because this is who I'm supposed to fall in love with.
This is
who
the
I'm
one
supposed
I
to marry.
want. Yes.
If I get a good job opportunity that's away from my family, I'm like, but my plan was to take care of my mom till she was 60 and now I can't go in. And I think in that you end up losing things and chances and opportunities that would just come once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
So I think being young and in the generation we're at, I think you have to grab every chance you get, no matter what it sways you away from.
Yeah. For me, it's having a plan is necessary because it gives me some kind of structure and what I want. It doesn't mean when I'm swaying, I'll be like, but that's my plan. Or when I get another opportunity, it's like, no, that's my plan. So it's important to have a plan because then it will keep you on track. But also don't be so close-minded to think, oh, this is my plan. I want a tall, handsome man, 6, 7.
What are the chances we're gonna get that?
Yes, what are the chances? Or financially stable person, or someone who looks like this because I want cute babies. That's like beyond the bar.
But there's also that societal pressure of the kind of jobs we have. I feel like being a certain either age, race, or having a certain cultural upbringing also kind of really limits you to who you can date, the kinds of jobs you can have, what you're expected to be when you're 25, when you're 30. So if you're Asian, automatically the assumption by the time you're 28 is, where's your husband? Where's the baby? Right?
Exactly.
So the moment you have all of the pressure from society and then you realize, okay, this isn't really working with my plan, then I think that's where the youth really mess up because then they feel obliged to do something that they probably wouldn't do given the freedom and given the chance.
Also, it's like you're supposed to try so many things, but also your family is like looking up to you. I have friends, and this is mostly affecting the men, especially the boys. And in African homes, it's like by the time you're 20, 21, 22, and you're a boy, you're supposed to be out of home. You're supposed to be the one who's providing for the family and all. And it's like, where do the parents know this is my limit? Because first of all, where we are right now, there's no like job opportunities for so many people. It's not like Kitambo when our family were getting out of school, immediately you finish like this, you get a job. So there's that pressure which you're supposed to finish school, get a job, get married, provide for your family.
Yeah. I also don't approve of the whole idea of you have to take care of your parents by force. I'm not saying that I wouldn't take care of them or that a boy shouldn't. But what I don't approve of is this idea that love has to go upwards. Love is supposed to flow down. It's not supposed to go up. You're not obliged to do anything. And I feel like real, psychologically healthy parental love is allowing your child to do whatever makes them happy. Telling them, I need you to get a job and take care of me is a form of control that ends up coming out later.
True.
in really weird ways. Like you'll find a man who's unmarried at like 40 or 50. You'll find people who have weird attachment issues. You find people who end up actually going through midlife crisis just because they were never given the chance to experience anything because of the
And to
pressure that
explore,
they're yeah. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of the people who end up being rapists or serial killers, they always, everything is connected to their parents. Ridiculous amounts of pressure, asking them to provide for you, asking them to love you unconditionally because they're your child and you brought them into the world.
Yeah.
I'm just like, but you brought me and asked to be
Exactly.
brought, honey. So,
I didn't sign up for
I
this.
did not sign up for this hard life. So like, let me live it since I'm here, you know. Yeah.
And it's just good to like experience everything. I was talking to someone who's behind the camera, and we were talking about how many things we've tried so far. And it's like, we are young, and people say, you're really young, you can try so many things, you've got the time. But have we really gotten the time? Because when we are at our age, you're also telling me you're old. So it's like, we don't feel like we got the time because we are chasing that time. Yeah,
we're
you're
like,
rushing.
We want a job, we want to do this, we want to do that.
My salary should be increased, or I should get a better pay, or by now I should be having my master's.
But don't you also think that's like a trauma-based reaction? Like, you know that maybe your parents have come from a hard background, or they've come from like I don't have backing of parents and stuff, and the person behind the camera doesn't, I assume, also have that kind of security. So do we really have a choice then? Isn't that like a trauma-based reaction? Because you're like, yeah, but if I don't do it, then I'm screwed. I'm going to also end up like my parents, and they're also going to suffer.
Worse,
I'm going to suffer, and then my kids are going to suffer, and it's going to be a never-ending cycle. So I think that the pressure that we have, and I don't think it's bad pressure, for the youth right now is we're all trying to break generational curses. We're like, we're going to be the ones who go abroad. Yeah. We're going to be the ones that buy a house first. We're going to be the ones that
buy our family cars.
End up being bisexual, marrying out of culture. And we want to do everything that the world would never have allowed before. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that means we're now creating a culture for the future where they don't have the restrictions that we had growing up. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
If I had children, even if I was well off, I would still want them to kind of have that responsibility. But there's also the other side of me that says, you know, if you have the luxury of now studying without having to pay your own fees, then you should take that opportunity. You know, so I'm always like, how do I want to raise my kids? Do I want them to be independent and go through what made me tough, or do I want to back them up because I didn't have the backing? I think that's one of the largest questions that every single person in our generation
I think
has.
I also struggle with the same, but don't you think the energy they'll be using to struggle as much as you did, and maybe you have the capabilities or the financial capabilities to support them, they'll be like putting it somewhere else, maybe on their hobbies, on their talent, and maybe growing up business as young as they are. But the problem is a parent who's able to pay a fee and they're refusing because, oh well, you're 22, you're supposed to be paying your own fee. It's different when I'm saying I'm giving you 2,000 as pocket money, just try to hustle a bit and then add to it. But a whole, like, our fee was like, if you're in private, it's like 120 something per semester. To have like peer pressure in school, they're going to see their friends being able to like cater for their needs more. So that's a lot of pressure, and that's why I think more young people are actually committing suicide compared to older ones. Because actually, why? Because depression is not like an age thing. But why are young people more inclined to like depression and mental health issues?
I think mostly when you really look at, apart from research, it's common sense to me that the children of these days understand trauma. Now, the difference with understanding trauma and not you know, what you don't know can't hurt you. So when you ask your dad or you ask your mom, like, you notice that there's something dramatically wrong with them in their childhood. Maybe they're like, they have a really bad parental style because they went through something as a child. They're not aware. But when you're very aware also,
it affects you.
It affects you, but not in a, you know, it's not supposed to be in a bad way. Now, what happens, what makes these children end up committing suicide and it turns bad is they don't think they can be helped. They don't think that there's anyone who's willing to listen to them. They don't think that there's help out there. That's where they go wrong. You see, being aware is really good because now you know, okay, I'm depressed. I'm going through something. It's unhealthy for me. My coping mechanisms are not healthy. But if I'm aware that I can get help, I can pull myself out of it. So
they're aware of the problem, but not aware of the solution.
And also loneliness. I think this generation is lonely because you can't trust people these days. You can't trust your parents and tell them I'm depressed. They'll be like, so you just go farm and then you'll be fine. You need the sun. You'll be fine.
Why are you depressed? What's depression? Like,
exactly. You know, like, I remember once, like, trying to tell someone in my family that I'm upset about something because I've gone through a very traumatic past.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, what have you gone through? And I'm just like, kind of lost my parents, that tiny little thing
Yeah.
before I was 18.
Mm.
Also kind of got divorced before I was 18. Yeah,
Mhm.
you know, not that big of a thing, but I'm like, honestly,
For them,
like,
it's like they used to hide the trauma, so it never used to affect them.
exactly. You know, and it's also that feeling of I don't want to accept that I can be upset. You know, it was a matter of being defeated. When you were older and you say I'm sad or I'm upset or I'm down, it's like you were
Weakness,
defeated. You
yeah.
were weak. You were unworthy of love, and that's why you're going through it.
Yeah.
But right now, I feel like also the other reason, you know, the youth commit suicide is because there's no growth for a lot of them.
There's
all
no
stuck.
community and
Support,
bonding and support.
bonding,
Yeah.
care. Your parents have issues. Your
Everyone is
relationships are
running their own
difficult.
thing. Yeah.
So no one's actually living in the moment. They're just living on overdrive. A lot of the youth, they just wake up, they do the same thing, they go to bed. You know, it's the same routine. No one's actually living life for what it's supposed to be.
I was also reading something else, and it was saying, stop claiming you have depression, because that's not depression. It's like jealousy. And to me, it didn't sit well with me at first, but thinking about it, it's like somehow it's connected to why most people I depress, because the moment you get jealous of someone else, you'll wonder, why am I not on the same position they are in? Why am I not getting the same job? Why am I not getting the same money to go for vacation and everything? And I think that's why also it is somehow connected to it, because you have the pressure to live someone else's life and not your life.
And I think the worst part is I have friends who are all, if you're listening, I'm sorry to like expose you. But apart from Noura, all my friends are like pretty well off, and maybe like apart from one girl. And so even if they're not well off, they have maybe parental backing, or they've been taken care of. Let me put it that way. And so what happens is it's so easy to fall into but they got a better job than me, like you said, but they're earning more than me. I've been working so hard and I'm not getting the same opportunities. She knows someone, so she got promoted, or she got a better job. You know, her parents helped her with this. She doesn't have to pay fees. So I think it takes, and this is what I think the youth really miss out on, is it takes a level of gratitude to really not compare yourself
and
to
appreciate where you are.
And really, and let me tell you, no youth right now is able to do that, because everyone is just on the go. You want something you can't have. You know, we're used to
it's like you see something, you want it, you get it.
Now. You want it here.
No patience whatsoever, no hard work, no consistency. You just want it.
Exactly.
And I think that's where we go wrong for most people. I'm really appreciative of where I am, and especially my friends. We haven't seen someone who wants life they're not able to get. And it's really important to put yourself with those people. Don't go with friends who will influence you to get something that you actually can't afford. It's like buying a Lamborghini and you can only manage a Vicks. You see? So it's like, get friends who
will clap for you when you get the Vicks. They'll be like, oh, good for you, man, because like,
even as
you worked hard to get that. Exactly. Yeah.
So that's really important. And we'll wrap up the podcast. Thank you for coming. We didn't want it to like really go for long. So thank you for listening. I hope you have been educated, informed, and you have learned something.